Hi and welcome to Screencast number 9 about using GOODF. And this topic will be about organ voicing, especially using the new feature of importing CMB files, combination files, or rather settings files that you have exported from GrandOrgue. But first of all, let's talk a little about when you are creating sample sets, you are not a normal GrandOrgue user. So some of the features of GrandOrgue shouldn't be used by you until your sample set is finished. When it's ready for distribution and usage for an user, then you can also, of course, use those features. But until then, you shouldn't. So begin with a few things. In the options, make sure don't use cache until the organ is absolutely ready. Until then, leave it unchecked. Do check perform strict ODF check and the compatibility check, so that you are warned about every error that could occur. Okay, so these are important. Next, never ever use save to save the presets for the organ while you're working on it. Don't do that. Instead, we are going to use the feature to export settings when we have done all the configurations. And likewise, if you have to continue working at another time, you would import the settings. It would not be automatically loaded or opened with the organ. But you would manually do this until everything is finished. So, as always, create your organ until your masterpiece is ready. Then you of course open it in GrandOrgue and see what it looked like. Make adjustments until you're happy in the organ file. And when you have all the stops and all the things you want to have, then you can start working on the voicing of the organ. I won't show you everything here because that would take far too long time, but we'll just do a few things. And most of these things you will find in the organ settings dialog, where you have the winches, and on the winches you have the stops that exist on them. And for each level you can adjust amplitude and gain. Amplitude is linear volume, if you would say, and gain is logarithmic volume. You can use either or both of them as you wish, really. It doesn't matter. Then you have the tuning. the manual tuning will be that which is applied in the original temperament. If we close this for a second, you have the original temperament here. That is what the organ kind of is supposed to sound like, that you're modeling. And then you have optional temperaments that can be selected depending on what the user wants to use. And the other tuning, the auto-tuning correction, is that which is applied in the different temperaments. Normally, if the sample set is, the samples in the sample set are prepared correctly, then the tuning information would be present in the files, and this would be perfect to begin with. In most cases, there are exceptions, for instance, that you have ranks or stops that are supposed to be detuned, like Celeste's or such. Then you would need to specify this offset, because otherwise GrandOrgue will retune them perfect as a non-undulating stop instead. Enough of that. Let's see here. If we start with the principles, we can hear that the grate and the swell doesn't match in tune. So the swell is lower than the grate principle. So we should raise it in pitch. So we increase the pitch, and I don't know exactly, let's start with 14. And this is for the whole rank. I'm just course adjusting right now. So I selected that, increased the manual tuning, and then hit apply. It's still too low. So we raise it even more, 20 cents, apply. Almost there. So that's good enough for right now. But then we can hear that so the grate principle is actually softer than the swell principle, and that we might want to change. And then there are two options. We could lower the swell, or we could raise the grate, or we can do both of them. So let's say we lower the swell principle by 3 decibels, hit apply, and we raise the grate principle then they are approximately matching like that. And this can be done not only on the rank level like this, but you can go into the individual pipes and adjust them too, if you want to. Then, when you have done all this, for every stop, every rank, every pipe, and you're happy with the settings that you have given them, then you can finally export these settings for inclusion in the organ file. So we do this by exporting the settings and we give it a name like so, and we save it. And then now what we can do is to open, make sure you have exactly the same organ file that you have used for creating the settings file open, and not a changed one. No changes may have been done to that because then it won't match anymore. So make sure it is really the same file. And then you can import the CMB file. And you see the big red warning here. This should only be done when you're really ready. So we search for that CMB file, and it's in the GrandOrgue settings, and we name it composite test. And here we will see a little bit about. So make sure these matches and that you haven't changed anything. Then we can actually do the import. And do you remember what we did? We increased the great principle by 3. In gain, and for the swell we did lower the gain, and we adjusted the pitch tuning in GrandOrgue, because these values that you see in GOODF, they are kind of meaningless unless you have something to reference against, and that is why we are actually using GrandOrgue itself to do this voicing for us. And then when it's ready and we are happy with it, we can import it into the organ file, and then it will be stored in the organ file. So if we save the organ file now and we reload the organ, and I don't save any settings. This is important. Don't save the settings until everything is finished with the organ. Then you may save the settings. Otherwise, always use export and the import instead to manually control it. Okay. So we see if the things have stored as they should, and what we actually see. So now if we activate the principles, and then we go into the organ settings and have a look at it, we will see a few interesting things. So we actually see that the principal is raised in gain for the grate, and we will see that the principal on the swell is diminished by 3 decibels. But we won't see the tuning, because this is now embedded in the organ file, and what is there in the organ file is separate from the tuning information that the user can set in GrandOrgue. But it's there, all right. You will see it both in GOODF, and you can hear it when you play the organ. So that is a short demonstration of how to use this feature. Be careful about it and really make sure you have done everything finished and correctly before you are importing the settings. Thanks for watching, and I see you in the next movie. Bye.